Prince was his creativity was on fire. He knew exactly what he wanted. It took a long time, a lot of trial and error, not within songs, but across songs to figure out which songs were going to provide the kernel or seed for the next album. Because if you're going to release an album, you've got a look that goes with it. You've got a color scheme that goes with it. You're thinking about your live show and what the stage is going to look like, what the artwork is going to look like. You're thinking about videos. You're thinking about the extra musical support for the ideas expressed on that record. And the ideas expressed are the main theme. This is where I'm at right now, is what you're saying to your fans. These are the things that are on my mind, and here's how I want to express those things musically. So music was always being recorded at the time when I was with him, but there were no definitive start and stop dates for albums necessarily, because music was always being recorded. Something that had been done a month ago could go on the next album, or something that was done last night would go on the next album, or something done a year ago, depending on how he was building songs around the core of his materials. To finish up by answering your question, he didn't need to consult with others as to what should go on the album or not. I was, of course, consulted whenever he had any doubts about certain messages on songs, or he had doubts about, I don't know, what fans might like the best.
Did you ever wish that Prince collaborated more with more well-established stars like himself along the way, or do you think it was just the point in his career that it would have maybe slowed things up or not worked as well?
Certain things that you think about and you go, oh, wouldn't it have been great if that could have happened? And then when you really think about it, how it would have worked, you realize it wouldn't have worked. It'd be great to have Prince collaborate with Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, any number of people you want to think of, but the Prince I knew was so tuned into his own radio station that collaboration would have first involved stripping back some of his own impulses, because he had impulses for drums and bass and keys and guitar and vocals. Most people would focus on their instrument and bring their instrument to another with which to collaborate. But in Prince's case, he was a one-man band. So the collaboration didn't leave room for another person's talents, without him having to erase some of his own.
And I guess the vocals, it's legendary that he wanted to record by himself and maybe give you a little chance to catch some sleep, or no, or you had to be there all the time.
You try to, but it would be too embarrassing to be caught sleeping on his watch. So if he's in there kind of vocal, I just would be too embarrassed. I know you mentioned Dwayne Tudall and his close friends with Peggy McCreary out there in Sunset Sound in Los Angeles. Peggy was another recording engineer, worked with Prince a lot. She was a staff engineer at Sunset, whereas I was Prince's employee. So anyway, Peggy would catch some sleep. She wasn't embarrassed by that, but for me, I couldn't do it. I would fall asleep, of course, exhaustion, but I was always embarrassed.
Did you have a preference doing recordings out in Minnesota, or did you like going back to your home state in Sunset Sound?
Oh, Sunset was much easier because it was at that time, this is before Paisley Park Studios was up and running.
Right.
Sunset was a world-class studio, and with a support system, they had people answering the phone. They had maintenance folks there. They had audio technicians. I could work with Peggy, so there were two of us to work together. When we were home in Minnesota, I was the only one at that time when I was with him. So there was either a home studio or there was rehearsal. And if anything broke down, I was the only one to fix it. And there weren't always people around to run errands, to run out and bring me a cup of coffee or a sandwich or something. It was harder. Again, I don't feel any sense of self-pity or complaint because you gotta understand how lucky I was to be there. Gratitude was I mean, it was hard, and there were times when I was frustrated and angry, but gratitude was always the base layer of emotion.
And you had one of the most desirable gigs in the whole music industry, I'm sure.
For me, I did. Other
Yeah.
people, weren't such Prince fans and would not have traded places with me, but, a lot of people would have.
Would did you at the time when you were working with Prince, did you ever receive any tempting offers from other artists to join up with them?
Not a single one.
Oh, come on. They were missing out, but good thing you stayed.
No, 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 nobody. In fact, after I left Prince, I honestly didn't know. I really honestly did not know
Mhm.
who was gonna hire me because I had joined him as a technician. I was a naive engineer. I had no other engineering credits than with him, and, I just wondered I didn't know what to do. I thought about, well, I don't know. I thought, "No, I wanna stay in Minnesota. I like it here. Should I apply at radio stations? Maybe they need a technician." I considered that. Ultimately, shortly after Prince, I got a phone call, and it was from the Jacksons, the family, uh, and they said, "We're doing an album, 2300 Jackson Street."
Mhm.
It's the brothers, but without Michael, and they said, "We'd like you to work with us on it." And I said, "Okay." And I came back to Los Angeles, and I worked with the Jacksons straight away after Prince.
Now we'll get into your book and other endeavors you've accomplished and still continue to accomplish since you left the Prince camp. But um, the Purple Rain, we talked about Purple Rain, and March 5th, I believe, select theaters Purple Rain, the movie is going to be shown for one night only with enhanced things. You would know better than I. What is it difficult to enhance audio and video for a film like that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about audio for film, but I can safely say the answer is no, not difficult because the new the digital audio tools today are insane what they're capable
Right.
of doing. So imagine it's pretty easy. Enhance though is a funny word because sometimes albums, classic albums, will be remastered for streaming or remastered for. Remember when they were remastering them for CD, and sometimes
Yeah.
they would
Right.
sound like utter crap. Um, where they remaster them and in attempts to improve them, they'd take away some of what made it sound cool.
And you were part of the Purple Rain tour, a big part of it, as far
Mm.
as he recorded often on the tour, and you were out in the truck, right, during the shows?
Yeah, he liked to have a mobile recording truck at the big cities. So if we were in New York, at the Superdome in New Orleans near the end of the tour, in Los
Mhm.
Angeles, we'd have a mobile recording truck. Atlanta, I believe. No, not Atlanta. Atlanta, we went to a recording studio afterward. But yeah, there were several cities where we would have a big mobile truck and record the show. And on those nights, I would be out in the truck.